Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the channel. You know, a couple of days ago, I put out a video where I tried in as fast as possible time to break down over 100 champions and their worth in Alliance Quest, and I received a lot of positive feedback both in the Line app and on YouTube itself, asking if I could do a very similar thing for Alliance War, and so today I'm going to attempt to do that with as much efficiency as possible while also trying to be specific, because a lot of you have very specific champions that you have ranked up or that you want to rank up, and so you want to know if that champion's worth anything. I will do my best to go as fast as possible, and I also want to remind you two things that I keep messing up on. Number one, Yellowjacket is a man, not a woman. Not sure why I keep changing his gender, but just to clarify at the beginning, he's a man. And number two, I've done this in two videos over the past 300 I've made. Angela, even though I know this in my head, is not poison immune. Not sure why I keep saying that, but yeah, she's not. So let's just get that out of the way first. So we're going to do this by class, and we're going to break down all 6 classes, and I'm going to talk about champions that I have, and I'm going to try to remember champions like Sabretooth that I don't have yet, but that are certainly relevant to a good Alliance War defense. Okay, so we're going to start with the worst class of them all, the Science class. Now, Quake is a champion that can have some utility in Alliance War D, because if you don't know how to dodge her attacks and you build up those aftershock charges, you will be stunned and you will be wrecked. I think Quake is probably a better defender for newer alliances that aren't used to mastering things like parry. Blade works, of course, really well against the entire Science class, as he has the class advantage. But when I first started playing the game, and then Quake came in, I didn't really know how to dodge that well. And so I think Quake isn't the number one Science champion by any means for Alliance War defense, but she does have some utility. Yellowjacket, on the other hand, has fantastic utility as an Alliance War defender. In fact, I have placed him for a couple of years now in Alliance War defense. Yellowjacket, just like if you've played Map 5 before, really specializes on Unblockable 1 nodes. Unblockable 2, not as much, because the length or the duration of the special is a little bit shorter. But the special 1's tough to block, and in the new season of Alliance War, I go up the middle path, and I ran into a Yellowjacket a couple of days ago and got power stung because that node starts with a special 1. And so I was going to parry and immediately got hit with the special 1 that was unblockable. And not only did I lose health, of course, but you're caught in a loss-loss situation in that sense, because you can either do a special and lose a bunch of health, which thankfully with Blade I was able to gain it back, or you don't do a special and then you get stunned. And I think that in that cost-benefit analysis, if you will, situation, it's better to take the damage than it is to be stunned, because depending on how the mastery setup is, the stun will kill you before you have a chance to actually counter. Now, Hulk, I think, is a decent Alliance War defender, but if you're in a newer alliance and you don't know how to dodge his special 1, or even there have been a couple of times where I've played Hulk perfectly, but because, especially if Hulk's awakened, you have that insane attack damage when he's below, like 20% health, you will get wrecked. So I think Hulk has a good amount of value as an Alliance War defender, even though I've never played with him myself and placed him in that. Captain America, not a good defender. Electro, fantastic if you don't have champions like Blade or Black Widow, because if you've ever fought Electro, you know just by hitting him, you lose health. So Electro is fantastic for Alliance War defense, especially if you haven't really played against him very well. And I would highly recommend, if you have an Electro and you're not sure who to put in your Alliance War D, to go ahead and rank him up. Classic Spider-Man, the bane of my existence for so many years in Alliance War, because I still have not perfected, and I know some people have, and kudos to you, actually being able to evade naturally with dexterity his special 1. And not only that, but he has that amazing evade mechanic, which does not make him a very fun character to fight with, because you can't parry consistently. But as an Alliance War defender, he's amazing. Still, at this current iteration of the game, is a great choice for a mini boss, and I see Classic Spidey all the time. Unstunnable nodes, Classic Spidey holds a lot of value. Luke Cage also has gotten a good amount of value in all aspects of the game, as an attacker, as a defender. The Indestructible, really, if you're going up against Luke Cage with a 4-star and you're going up against like a 6-star, especially Awakened Luke Cage, there's a high chance if you don't fight perfectly, you could time out as well. So Luke Cage, great Alliance War defender. Miles Morales, I feel like is kind of a poor man's Classic Spidey. Classic Spidey is still a better option, but if you only have one Spidey, especially Awakened, go for it. Red Hulk. I've seen some people tell me that they've gotten some kills, especially with their 6-star Red Hulk in Alliance War D. Now that he's been buffed, he has much better value. Rhino's a tricky one because if he is unblockable with his intercept, then he has value. But if not, he's pretty easy to kill, and certainly his animations are very easy to dodge. So I would put Rhino at kind of the bottom tier of defenders. Now, I cannot talk about the science class and go on to another class without first talking about the number one defender in the science class. It is Modok for Alliance War Defense. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone up against Modok, even with Blade, and still been wrecked. One of my favorite things about Modok is that he's a really underrated attacker. If you get your heavy down with the Incinerate and also the auto block, if you do get in a position where you're getting hit with a combo, it makes it really fun to play. And so I think Modok is a really underrated attacker, and a lot of people are starting to see that. Now, Abomination, I did a video on a couple of days ago, the first of hopefully a pretty long series on how to buff middle to lower tier champs, and I truly believe Abomination's best value right now is an Alliance War on a healing block node, but if they decide to actually buff him and cause the ability to give poisons on the enemy when you are attacking and causing those crits yourself, he will be a demigod tier champ. Now, before I move on, I did want to point out Ant-Man, even though he is in desperate need of a buff, can cause quite a few timeouts. If you're not bringing the right champions, they're glancing to avoid critical hits, and even causing certain buffs like bleed in some cases will prolong the fight. So Ant-Man, very easy to dodge the specials of, but at the same time, Ant-Man does have some utility as an Alliance War defender. All right, moving on quickly to the skill class. Blade, believe it or not, first was introduced as a defender. It's amazing to me. The number one attacker was supposed to be a great defender. I have had some Alliance members who have gone up against these rank 5-star Blades as defenders. And you want to talk about a shock. Can be a great defender because he regenerates when blocking, when he's awakened at least, causes amazing bleed, and even if you block his special 2, which really can't be dodged with dexterity, you're still going to take a high amount of block damage, and then of course if he gets to his special 3, you're going to be wrecked big time. So Blade, underrated defender, thought I'd point that out. Gwenpool, I think, is an average at best Alliance War defender. Certainly if you get caught in a bleed or a stun chain, that's going to be an issue, but just dodging specials in Alliance War, her specials are very easy to dodge with any practice with dexterity. Now, Agent Venom, on the other hand, I get messages about AV all the time. A lot of people are pulling him lately. You might be somebody who's nodding your head right now as you watch this video. Agent Venom is a fantastic Alliance War defender because of tenacity, and I can't tell you how many times I have parried and gone to attack, and that tenacity is so quick, especially if the limber mastery is high on the opponent, that you'll be countered and you'll be wrecked. And Agent Venom continues to be somebody that I never get excited to see as an Alliance War defender. Black Widow, not a great defender. She does have the ability to hurt your ability reduction. So if you try to parry her, there are chances that it will not parry. But her specials are so easy to dodge that unless you're starting out, I don't think she's going to be the best choice. Elektra, kind of same difference. Now, I will say, next to Elektra, you've got Black Panther Civil War, who remains a fantastic Alliance War defender. Another champion that if you get to the special 1, you can dodge pretty easily. But until then, you really have to rely on intercepting, because if you parry, you've got that reflect stun that it can easily wreck you and kill you. Punisher, I put on Alliance War D as well, not just because I've opened him 1,000 times as a 4-star, which is not a humble brag, trust me. But Punisher, if you have an unblockable special 1 or an unblockable special 2, can be effective, and you can cause good bleed damage. And then Awakened into a max level does prolong the fight. I have gotten a kill with my Punisher simply because the person fighting him didn't have the best round, and it got to a point where they timed out because he actually extended his life, and it went to the timeout. So that's kind of a rare circumstance, but it can happen. Hawkeye, terrible defender, great attacker. Winter Soldier, just kind of an average defender. in my book. His special 1 is so easy to dodge that really, with dexterity, his special 2 is the best way to defend. But if you've got the other options, you're not going to want to use it. Thor Ragnarok is a fantastic option for Alliance War defense, especially Awakened. You do have this ability for him to gain a ton of power when I think it's 18 hits in a combo. So you can wreck somebody easily. And then Kingpin, Fatso himself, somebody that I predicted at the beginning was very overhyped. There are people who used to be so excited to spend their 15,000 5-star shards back when they were not very plentiful in the game on a Kingpin featured, and now he's just, kind of average in my book, maybe a little bit above average, but certainly not somebody you're going to brag about on the same level as Blade or Gwenpool in the same class. Karnak, really no value as a defender whatsoever, unless they ever fix the synergies with Medusa. Crossbones, good defender, somebody who I think, especially given the buff duration that he has and the ability to kind of shrug off some parries. And then I can't finish this without talking about Moon Knight. Moon Knight is such an underrated pain in the butt for me. Moon Knight is somebody who just has that random evade, kind of like Ultron, that can wreck me, and then he can also get you stun locked and bleed. Very underrated champion. I had somebody comment on my channel yesterday saying that Moon Knight was the same as Blade, and I wasn't sure how many drugs they had done. But besides that, objectively, and then I think I haven't covered Taskmaster, who I've fought a couple of times in Alliance War, never had a problem, but maybe you're out there and you think Taskmaster is a great Alliance War defender. So if you do think that, comment below and tell me what you think. All right, let's move on to the mutant class. Iceman. A rank 5 5-star Iceman in the current tier of Alliance War for me has killed me so many times. I got that Iceman against him, and then emergency maintenance on top of that. I just gained depression that day, just straight depression. Iceman, top tier defender, top tier attacker. That's why he's the god tier. Rogue, pretty easy to dodge. Archangel, I've seen some people get wrecked. Certainly, if you allow yourself to get hit with a heavy and you stack the bleed and poison and the neurotoxin, it can be bad. But I think for the most part, Archangel's pretty easy to dodge. I wouldn't put him as a top-rated defender. Same with X-23 or Wolverine, both mainly just attackers. Gambit, easy as well. And then we scroll down. Cyclops can be very difficult if you haven't learned how to dodge with dexterity, his special 1. So a unblockable special 1 node can be very effective for Cyclops. Magneto, also depending on who you're bringing in, can be a pain to fight if he magnetizes you and you lose a lot of your abilities. Storm, I think now I would be very excited to play Storm in Alliance War defense because I know how to dodge for specials. But early on in the game, I was trying to intercept an attack, and then all of a sudden she would just shoot up and shoot that special 1 or special 2, and it'd be so quick, I'd get stunned, and I would die, and I would feel like an idiot. Cable and Nightcrawler both, back-to-back, are fantastic pains to fight in Alliance War, and I think they always will be. Cable is a very underrated choice as a boss in Alliance War. Between the regeneration, the fact that if you cause him to bleed, he causes degeneration, the insane power gain, I think Cable is becoming actually a very underrated defender boss, even for the top tier alliances. And then Nightcrawler, what is there that isn't need to be said about Nightcrawler? The amazing thing about Nightcrawler is he doesn't need to be awakened. In fact, I think he's more of a pain to fight when he's not awakened and he can't switch into that other mode. So I hate fighting Nightcrawler so much. Always going to be a pain, even with my Iceman. And Nightcrawler is best on the nodes like Masochism, where you gain a certain amount of health for every buff that puts on, because if you bring Iceman to avoid the evade, he's still going to bring health, and I have timed out many times with my Iceman against a 5-star Nightcrawler. Old Balls Logan, he's got old balls. He's useless in pretty much everything. Colossus, same difference. Psylocke, I think, is a pretty terrible defender. And Deadpool X-Force is terrible in everything, and he will be the next champion that I talk about this week to very much need a buff and how to buff him. So if you have any suggestions, comment below on your suggestions for him, and I might actually add your comment to my list of ways to make him not suck. All right, Hyperion. God tier attacker, God tier defender, just like Iceman. Power gain is insane. Stack those Furies, get hit with a heavy. If you don't have somebody like an Iceman that has the ice armor, or even like a Gwenpool to sustain that really high special 3 damage, you're going to get wrecked. And I can't even imagine starting this game from scratch and then playing Hyperion for the first time. Some people probably have nightmares about that. Medusa is still, in my mind, the new magic. She is the top choice for an Alliance War boss simply because of her auto block in the Living Strands function of her character. She is somebody that you just know if you don't have the right champions like a Doctor Strange or a Hood or a Scarlet Witch to actually nullify that you're either going to get wrecked instantly or you're going to probably time out because you're going to have to dodge, as it's a very slow timer until it expires. Angela, I think she's just an average defender. Now, a 6-star Angela I've fought has really good regen. So that is certainly a plus, but I still think because her special 1 is so easy to evade, and she has so many buffs that if you have Mystic Dispersion as an attacker, you can get up to your special 3. So I fight a lot of Angelas with my Ghost Rider, and even as a 4-star, I don't really have an issue. Superior Iron Man, Ronin, Miss Marvel, all not really Alliance War Defender options. Carnage or Cabbage or Garbage is just trash in all circumstances until he's buffed. He'll probably be the 3rd person I talk about in that series. Gamora can kind of suck if you get caught by her special 2, which I think has gotten quicker in the last couple of months. Satan herself, Kamala Khan, also probably number 4 on my list of champions that I'll talk about being buffed because she's completely worthless in all aspects of the game. Spider-Man, not nearly the symbiote version is not nearly as strong of a defender as the classic version. Venom pool, same difference. Now, King Groot is going to be on this list for me because I hate fighting King Groot, especially like a 6-star King Groot. Regen is consistent and insane. Now that we have King Groot, I don't understand why we have Groot. He'll probably be number 5 on my list of champions to talk about improving. Captain Marvel, not a good defender. Hela, I think, will probably be the last one I talk about on this. She can be effective, especially kind of like Punisher. She's got the ability to last longer once she's lost health, but her specials are fairly easy to dodge once you get used to it, so I wouldn't put her in the same class as even Punisher in a lot of cases. Okay, so we're up to 2 classes left. The tech class. Star-Lord, great attacker, not defender, very easy to dodge. Ultron, both in the perfect form and in the Age of Ultron form, is a very good choice, especially if you have nodes that recover or double attack and health, because he's going to naturally be recovering more health as well. I've fought Ultron a lot in my middle path, especially the Masochism node, because you do tend to have to parry him, and if you intercept, he gets that 1 evade going back and then counters and can cause a significant amount of bleed damage. Stark Spidey, every once in a while, I'll fight him in Alliance War Defense. I think he's one of those people who's great for diversity, but not a top-tier scared to death because his special 1 is pretty darn easy to stop. Doc Ock can kind of be an underrated Alliance War Defender, to be honest. I think he's somebody that... if you get him to a special 2 and it's unblockable, can cause some damage, but he's got an easy special 1 to dodge. And so Yondu sucks. It sucks to play Yondu in so many aspects. He's available as a 6-star and doesn't need to be awakened to wreck you. And you try to parry him, you can cause armor break, bleed, and then he just causes an insane amount of damage with his special 2 and is just a top 10 Alliance War Defender in my book. And then Classic Vision, I have gone against him. And the new node in the middle path, and like I said, I'm talking from experience because that's my path every couple days. When you start with a special 1, and then he gains Synthesis to a special 3, unless you've got someone like Iceman, which has the class disadvantage, you will be wrecked fast. And if you've got like a corner node, he's always going to have that chance. So you have to almost not hit him at all and wait for him to just, evade a special 1, or you're screwed. And if somebody has a 5-star Vision and puts on Alliance War defense in that node, that would suck. Howard the Duck. Many of you know I'm a big fan of Howard the Duck, one of the few YouTubers who isn't afraid to admit that. And Howard the Duck's special 2 can be very difficult to fight, and I've gone up against that a few times on the unblockable special 2 and didn't realize it was unblockable, and then I got wrecked. Punisher 2099, not really going to talk about. I think he's just a very average at best champion in many ways. Hulkbuster's trash. Civil Warrior, very easy to evade. And, Nebula can be fantastic because of regeneration and also the ability to shrug off multiple buffs, being bleed immune. So I think Nebula, and then, almost forgot. Green Goblin. Man, does it suck to play Green Goblin. A 6-star champ again. Very, very powerful special too. There's a reason why Kabam chose Green Goblin as one of the new Map 5 Alliance Quest mini-bosses. Now we get to everyone's favorite class, the Mystic class. Magic does not have nearly as much utility thanks to Blade, but because it's so hard to get Blade now that they've made some tweaks. If you're newer in Alliance War and you don't have a Blade and you fight Magic, my condolences, because you will basically die. Her ability to cause you to lose damage with Limbo is unmatched unless you have someone like a Blade to counter her. Dr. Voodoo and Ghost Rider, both great attackers, but not Alliance War defenders. Guillotine, same difference. Juggernaut. Put him on a limber node where it's hard for you to parry, or an unstunnable node, and he is still fantastic. If you get Mystic Dispersion up to 4 or 5 and you don't watch your dexterity, you will cause him to basically get you in a corner and die instantly. Dormammu, again, top 5 defender, reason why there's still the top boss in Alliance Quest right now. Double immune to bleed and poison, power gain, got the degen. He's great. Iron Fist, not worth talking about. Loki, not worth talking about. Mordo, just like Black Panther Civil War, only even better, has that reverse stun so you can't parry, and an insane power gain. Mordo still has a lot of value in Alliance War defense. And then Morningstar is the MVP of MVPs. If you don't have that special 2 dodge and that one node on the middle right side that you get only damage for special attacks, but you get nothing for regular attacks, he is a god tier, top tier option for that, and that has saved my alliance many times, and we have also been wrecked many times when we fought someone with high Mystic Dispersion. I don't want to end this class without talking about Mephisto, another champion that I think is highly underrated as an attacker. I love fighting with Mephisto, wish I had him as a 5-star, and between the Incinerate, Aura of Incinerate, the crazy power gain, and the fact that he nullifies so many important abilities like Iceman's Ice Armor, he's not fun to play, and a Masochism node where he's already regenerating, and then he has that insane consistent regeneration when you finally get him to the end of his health is crazy fantastic. Now, I didn't want to forget, there are people like Sabretooth and Killmonger that I don't have that are newer champions that are also fantastic Alliance War defenders. Really, I have just gone through, my goal was to make this 25 minutes. I've gone through over 100 champions in what my computer is telling me is just over 22 minutes. So I hope this has been worth your time. I really like to keep my videos to around 5 minutes normally, but this is one of those things that, given we're right in Alliance War Season 2, I want to give as much information as possible, as efficient as possible. There are certainly champions I've missed, champions that you maybe want me to touch on more, so comment below and let me know what options you would like me to touch on more. And then keep in mind, this week I'm going to give my 3rd annual competition, a free contest for you to win some free units from me just by predicting Blade's score in the first round of the arena on Thursday, but wait to comment your prediction until that video comes out officially on Wednesday. So thanks for watching, YouTube. I hope this has helped you. Certainly Alliance War is still my #1 complaint in the game. The rewards are amazing, but I get so much anxiety and depression and fear from playing Alliance War. It feels to me like a really bad day at the DMV every time I go, or like a bad day at the dentist, and yet I understand its appeal and its need for top tier alliances especially. Thanks for watching, YouTube, and have a great day.